All right, so tonight we're diving into a truly unique dining experience. The 3D House of Beef.
3D House of Beef.
It's opening night, and we've snagged a reservation
Interesting.
at this intriguing establishment that promises both culinary delights and a 3D entertainment spectacle.
Sounds like a recipe for either brilliance or utter chaos.
Oh, that's definitely...
There's a one or the other.
Pull us up.
Yeah.
Especially the whole 3D element in a dining setting.
You walk in, and the first person you encounter is Dr. Tongue, the maitre d',
Dr.
who
Tongue.
looks like he walked straight out of a John Candy movie. Tuxedo, big smile, the whole bit.
Yeah, from the sources you've shared, he seems to be the mastermind behind this whole operation.
Oh, yeah.
A larger-than-life character, wouldn't you say?
Understatement.
Yeah.
He's got this energy, this flamboyance. And I get this.
Okay.
He signs you in with this ornate calligraphy pen, but then he starts zooming it in and out of your face.
Oh, wow.
Like right up to your nose.
Really? And there's this creepy, almost Hitchcockian music playing in the background.
That's certainly a unique way to make a first impression. A bit unsettling, perhaps, but definitely memorable.
Memorable is one word for it.
Yeah.
So he shows you to your table. Prime real estate, by the way. Right near the stage and the kitchen. He's practically bragging about how you'll get the best view of the show and the freshest, hottest steak.
I appreciate the consideration for steak temperature.
Right.
But it does seem a tad out of place for a fine dining establishment.
Yeah.
Though I suppose that's part of the 3D House of Beef's charm.
Oh, this is definitely part of their thing.
Yeah.
Then comes the menu presentation. And you guessed it, more zooming.
Oh.
The menu itself is zooming in and out.
Right.
With that same bizarre music. It's like they're committed to assaulting your senses from every angle.
Well, commitment is admirable.
Yeah.
Even if the execution is questionable.
Right.
It does make you wonder if this is all a carefully constructed act, or if we're witnessing genuine eccentricity.
The lines are definitely blurred. But that's part of the fun. And just when you think you've got a handle on the weirdness, enter Bruno.
Bruno.
He's the waiter, and as you will soon find out, Dr. Tongue's business partner.
Ah, Bruno. I have notes on him.
Oh, yeah.
Distinct appearance. Gruff demeanor, somewhat incoherent.
Oh, he's a character, all right.
Okay.
Imagine this. Hunched over waiter's uniform, straining at the seams, wild curly hair, and a mole on his face that you could navigate by.
Wow.
And when he introduces himself,
Yeah.
he mentions that you might recognize him from the Dr. Tongue film series.
A film series? That's quite a claim. It seems there's a whole backstory we're not privy to. Or maybe it's just another layer of their manufactured absurdity.
Who knows? Maybe Dr. Tongue has a secret life as a B-movie action hero. But anyway, Bruno's trying to play the part of the professional waiter recommending the house wine, but then Dr. Tongue starts yelling at him from across the restaurant.
So there's already some tension in this partnership, a clash of personalities, perhaps. I'm interested to see how this dynamic plays out.
Oh, it is. It's a train wreck. You can't look away from. Bruno lets out this huge groan. Clearly annoyed, he tries to explain that he's busy with a 3-alarm flambé, but Dr. Tongue doesn't care.
Right.
Bruno fires back, reminding him that he's a partner in this venture, not a lackey.
There's the power struggle. It
Yeah.
seems Bruno, despite his eccentricities, isn't afraid to stand up to Dr. Tongue.
Not in the slightest.
Yeah.
And realizing everyone's watching this exchange,
Yeah.
Bruno suddenly puts on this fake French accent and says, "Excusez-moi," in this exaggerated whisper.
A touch of comedic relief to diffuse the tension.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm starting to enjoy this Bruno character.
He grows on you even if you're not quite sure what he's saying half the time.
Right.
But just as this scene ends, things take another turn because it's showtime.
Showtime at the 3D House of Beef. I can only imagine what delights or disasters await.
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready.
Buckle up.
I'm picturing flashing lights, smoke machines, maybe even some pyrotechnics.
Well, not quite that elaborate. Imagine a stage with red velvet curtains, Dr. Tongue at the mic doing a sound check, feedback screeching through the speakers, and then the grand entrance of Count Floyd.
Count Floyd,
Got it.
the master of merriment, the wizard of wit, as Dr. Tongue called him.
That's him.
Wasn't there something in the source material about him dressing up?
Oh, yeah. He comes out in full vampire regalia, fangs, cape, slicked back hair, and he's howling like a werewolf. It's so over the top, it's almost brilliant.
A vampire comedian.
Yeah.
This is shaping up to be quite the show. Did you find his material funny?
Let's just say it's an acquired taste. Lots of cheesy puns about steak and blood with random wolf howls thrown in for good measure. Some people were groaning, others were laughing.
Sounds about right for a place like this. So what happens next? Does Count Floyd keep the jokes coming?
He does for a bit, then drops a bombshell. The headliner, the musical guest everyone's been waiting for, is James Ingram.
James Ingram, the soulful R&B legend.
You got it.
That's quite a leap from vampire jokes and howling. It's like they're trying to appeal to every possible demographic.
Right. You go from cheesy puns to Grammy-winning R&B in the blink of an eye. But before James Ingram graces the stage, there's one more crucial element. 3D glasses.
Of course, the 3D glasses can't have a 3D experience without them. I'm guessing these weren't complimentary.
Oh, no. Count Floyd makes this big announcement about how these are high quality, not the cheap cardboard kind, and they'll set you back a cool $26.
$26? For plastic 3D glasses, Dr. Tongue is certainly maximizing his profits. But hey, you gotta see James Ingram in 3D.
Exactly. You reluctantly fork over the cash, and while you're waiting, Count Floyd brings out the opening act, the Polyesters.
The Polyesters, that name rings a bell. Any connection to our vampire friend?
They're Count Floyd's cousins. And their a cappella rendition of The Lion Sleeps Tonight is, well, let's just say it's not Grammy-worthy.
Musical talent doesn't run in the family, then I can only imagine the audience's reaction.
There was a lot of cringing and some outright booing, but honestly, the whole thing was so bad, it was almost entertaining.
It's that train wreck you can't look away from phenomenon. The sheer absurdity of it all becomes oddly compelling.
Exactly. At this point, you're hooked. You need to know what other crazy thing is going to happen next. And that's when you spot Count Floyd sneaking off towards the kitchen. Curiosity gets the better of you, and you follow him.
Ah, a behind-the-scenes glimpse. I love it when we get to peek behind the curtain. What did you find?
Well, you start eavesdropping on Count Floyd and Dr. Tongue, and it's like Count Floyd is a different person. His voice is deeper, more serious, and he's not cracking any jokes. He's actually worried about the restaurant failing.
Interesting. So the Count Floyd persona is just an act, a mask he wears for the show. Who is this other Count Floyd? Any theories based on what you learned?
There are some clues. First, he sounds a lot like certain famous TV personality Guy Caballero. Second, he seems to have a genuine concern for the business side of things, something you wouldn't expect from a cheesy vampire comedian.
A celebrity in disguise running a failing 3D state house. Now that's a story I want to hear.
It gets better. Dr. Tongue, on the other hand, is completely unfazed by Count Floyd's worries. He just brushes it off, saying something like, "Relax, the people are eating it up."
Yeah.
But then he mentions he fired the chef earlier that night.
Fired the chef on opening night. That's a bold move even for Dr. Tongue. What was the reason?
He just said something vague about the chef not meeting his exceedingly high standards of culinary excellence. Which is strange because everyone seems to be enjoying their steak.
Perhaps Dr. Tongue has his own unique methods for preparing the beef. I seem to recall something about a special marinade.
Oh yeah, Count Floyd notices Dr. Tongue messing around with some raw meat and asks him what he's doing. Dr. Tongue just mumbles something about a marinade that should have been ready 5 minutes ago. It's all very suspicious.
Very suspicious. It's like he's hiding something, or maybe he just likes to keep people guessing.
And then Bruno comes in.
Bruno.
Yeah, yelling out orders in this like crazy lingo, double cackle fruit and one birdie bye-bye running through the garden. I mean, pure gibberish.
You're kidding. That's hilarious. Was he in on the joke, or was he just, like, clueless?
I have no idea.
How does Dr. Tongue react to this?
He's not amused. He tells Bruno to speak English, but Bruno just gets defensive, saying that Dr. Tongue doesn't understand the nuances of restaurant lingo.
It's like a bizarre comedy routine. You have Dr. Tongue, the self-proclaimed culinary genius who's obsessed with control, and then you have Bruno, the unpredictable wild card who's constantly undermining him.
It's a recipe for disaster, and yet somehow it works. And all this time you can hear the muffled sounds of the polyesters still singing in the background.
A cacophony of culinary confusion and musical mayhem. I'm starting to think the 3D House of Beef is less a restaurant and more a performance art piece.
Maybe that's the whole point. But hold on, because things are about to get even weirder. Just as Count Floyd tells James Ingram to get ready to go on and save the show, we get the big reveal.
The big reveal? Don't leave me hanging. What happens?
James Ingram emerges from the walk-in refrigerator.
James Ingram emerging from the walk-in refrigerator? That's an entrance I wasn't expecting. Was he hiding in there the whole time?
It was the most bizarre thing. He comes strolling out, adjusting his jacket, complaining about how cold it is. Dr. Tongue just shrugs it off, saying something about James Ingram's agent requesting an air-conditioned dressing room.
An air-conditioned dressing room. In the form of a walk-in refrigerator, it's either a complete misunderstanding or a very elaborate prank. Knowing Dr. Tongue, I'm leaning towards the latter.
Oh, absolutely. Dr. Tongue lives for these moments of controlled chaos. But you haven't heard the best part yet. Bruno, never missing an opportunity for a bad joke, chimes in with, well, if you think it was cold in there, wait till you get out on stage.
Oh, Bruno. Bless his heart. Always trying to lighten the mood, even if his attempts at humor are questionable. How does James Ingram react to this?
He doesn't look amused. Count Floyd ushers him towards the stage, muttering something about needing to win the crowd back. It's like everyone's on edge waiting for the next disaster to strike.
So, what happens next? Does the food finally arrive? Does the mystery of the 3D House of Beef get solved?
So there we are, right? Lights are back on. Count Floyd's gone from the screen.
Yeah.
And we're still waiting for our food? Like, what is even happening at this point?
Yeah, you've got to tell me. Did you ever actually get to eat?
Well, just as we're about to, give up and leave, Bruno shows up again. Yeah, carrying this, massive tray piled high with plates, sets it down with a thud, and starts unloading everything.
Okay, finally, the moment of truth. What did you get?
So one by one, he reveals this huge steak, a baked potato loaded with all the fixings, and a side of creamed spinach.
That actually sounds pretty good. Did it live up to the hype?
I mean, it smelled amazing, and honestly, we were starving at that point. So I take a bite, right? And, oh man, it was one of the best steaks I've ever had. Perfectly cooked, juicy, flavorful.
Wow, so maybe they actually know what they're doing in the kitchen after all.
It's possible, right? Like maybe all the chaos, the theatrics, it's all just a distraction from the fact that they're serving really incredible food. And even after everything, the weird 3D glasses, the strange entertainment, I kind of enjoyed myself.
So tell me, if someone asked you for a restaurant recommendation, would you send them to the 3D House of Beef?
You know what? Yeah, I think I would. It's one of those things you got to see to believe. Who knows what they come up with next, right? It's like a living, breathing, absurdist theater piece. I can't wait to go back.
It sounds like they found a winning formula. Great food, outrageous entertainment, and a whole lot of, the unexpected.
Yeah, and maybe that's the lesson here. The best experiences, the most memorable ones, are the ones that, challenge you a little bit, make you question things.
So, dear listener, the choice is yours. Would you brave the 3D House of Beef? Would you step into the world of Dr. Tongue, Bruno, and Count Floyd?
We've given you the facts. Now it's up to you to decide. And don't forget your 3D glasses.